Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to react to a interview that Alex Karp did at Davos. And this is one of the best interviews that I have seen with him because he in detail goes into uh, inside information about Palantir. He references the Q4 earnings without referencing it and generally gives very good data about the company. But he created a very big controversy at the end when he answered a guy's question, and he basically publicly said some bad things about Palantir, and it created some controversy in the Palantir community. And I'm here to show you the clip and then give you my opinion. And when you watch this video, again, it's really good for Palantir investors. I want you to pay attention to how relaxed he is, his demeanor, him joking, and how confident and down to earth he is about the things that he's saying. I cut the video and I'm going to keep my commentary very short. It's originally a 30-minute footage, but I cut down a lot of blah blah. So we're just going to plug into the most important parts. And as always, subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, check out the Patreon for exclusive content. You're going to like it. Let's begin the video.
What the war in Ukraine is one that your company's been involved with. Can you briefly describe what was described in a Washington Post article recently about what you're doing to help the war in Ukraine?
Well, so the genesis was our product's very well known. We have a counter intel product, it's called PGE, which is very well known. We have a commercial product called Foundry, is very well known. We have a product that is not well known called Meta Constellation, and that product allows you to use algorithms on large data sets to hone in on adversaries over, say, for example, a whole country. And the integration of data the infusion of data from satellite, telephones, other sources, classified sources, and then the disambiguation of that so people only see what they are allowed to see on the battlefield is something that took us 15 years to build in various forms. The Ukrainians, without going into all details, but some of it, they of course went to the most important services in the world and said, okay, what should we use? And I was very proud to hear they had one answer, Palantir. And then we were asked if we were willing to supply our product philanthropically, basically for free, and
There's the missing margin. This is what we have been talking about in the channel, that the margin dropped and we didn't understand why, and there wasn't a good conclusion. But now we know that they used the balance sheet and the strength of the company to philanthropically help Ukraine, and this created a lot of PR, a lot of good things for them. But that is what they did. And this is a good news for many fronts, because we know that the margins have been artificially low because of this. And it's also a good thing because know how much good they created with this and how much of a good name and good PR they got from this. So this is very good.
I was very in favor of this because our primary mission is, in fact, to set a global standard for the world for behavior. The product then allowed them, according to this article, to do targeting with a factor of 20 better, which basically, of course, the primary heroes here are the actual heroes of the Ukraine, and they're also, I have to say, one of the caveats here is they're very, very technical. The people that have used our product there are world-class engineers, but they were also able to train normal engineers, and in their hands, they were able to change the targeting ratio, which, according to David Ignatius, played a big role in changing the course of the war.
Okay, so can the U.S. government get this same kind of software? Does it have it? Can you say that?
The U.S. government has our software,
okay,
and uses it very aggressively. I mean, look, the role of the U.S. government and the British government and others is somewhat sensitive. Some of it is in this article from Days and Nations, some is not. But it would be remiss not to mention that these governments have played an enormous, effective, and crucial role, not just with our software, but also with our software.
So where do you want to take the company in the future? You already built a company that's pretty large, pretty successful. What is your future direction?
Well, on the government side, some of this is not directly Palantir related, but we, in America, Western countries, we should learn also from the Ukrainians what actually worked on the battlefield. You know, I'm very in favor of a robust posture in America. We should look what percentage of our budget is being spent on things that actually turn the tide. So not all that's going to go to me, but we need to invest where the West has an advantage. Now, what do we want to do as a company? Of course, we are going to grow and continue to grow that suite of products. Of course, at this point, a lot of our growth is commercial. So without going to Q4 results, the U.S. is taking a real liking to our commercial product.
How can you interpret that? He said, without going into Q4 earnings, the US has taken a real liking. That smells really good for Q4, guys.
Growing that part of our business is obviously important, but my fundamental view of what Palantir should be is an instrument, a technical digital software instrument, which is again what I think are the best at in America, that strengthens institutions, both commercial and economic and political, in Western countries.
So today, your company is based in what city?
Denver.
But you, as the CEO, live in?
I live in the backwoods in basically a shack in New Hampshire.
And the reason that's so convenient and helpful to the company is?
I mean, you wouldn't know it on TV, but I'm an extreme introvert. And so I hide out. But I travel. I'm back to traveling 250 days a year. And so I travel from office to office to office to office, tricking Palantirians thinking I'm meeting with clients when in fact I'm meeting with the most important client, them. What are you building? Why are you building it? What's working? What's not? How's our senior leadership failing you today? Please tell me how we're failing you today. How did we fail you even worse than you thought today?
So you're also a pretty accomplished skier, right?
Cross-country skier.
So that helps being in New Hampshire?
Yes, but it's really, I'm a very accomplished introvert. and you know, in New Hampshire, I have no neighbors. I barely talk. I go into my little introverted cave. I come up with lots of ideas. I mean, we say our clients know. Sometimes people don't believe us. We build these products 5 years before anyone believes they're real. A lot of the inspiration for building those products comes from when I'm cross-country skiing. I think I'm the most accomplished Tai Chi practitioner in the Western business world. I do that. I walk around, I bounce my head into a log and think, oh, wow, we need a product that, or so-and-so is really good. And then, a lot of it's also like, when you decide a product needs to be built, or somebody like a Palantir or a Sham says, hey, this is a really interesting product idea. And it's like, then you have to decide, well, who's going to build it? Like, this is a lot of the biggest decisions at Palantir come down to, okay, for example, the Foundry product, which is, I don't know, without going into Q4, it's been like growing like a weed in the West, commercial product. I remember someone came to me with the basic architecture of it, and we took a person who was on by far our biggest client. It was probably worth 30% of our revenue, took off the most important engineer, and put that engineer on this product that no one believed would work. And that's how we ended it. So like figuring out who does what under what conditions. And then there's a productization phase. So we often build a product, then it's beta, it's in the market, means we still have to hold it up. Then a whole different team has to get it into productization phase. And all those decisions have to be made on the ground, on the factory floor, basically. It's like cutting leather. Except for the leather.
To do all this, don't you need to have the ultimate security clearances?
To work at Palantir?
Well, for you personally, you have to review these.
Actually, one of the best decisions I ever made was not getting a clearance. And I'll tell you, it's a really good decision, because if I was cleared to know a lot of stuff I know, I couldn't sit on the stage.
Okay. You don't keep secure documents on your desk.
I'm not. I shouldn't make. No, I'm not planning an office. I'm not planning to run for office.
Okay. So.
It's a pretty good joke. You guys are too polite to laugh.
I would think that companies that would do what you do, some of them I would think might be based in Israel. They're pretty good at these kind of things. Is that some of your major competitors?
Well, again, I don't want to go into who use our. We proudly have an office in Tel Aviv. We have an office there because Israel knows our product very well. We are proudly part of that ecosystem. I think the great companies in military technology are going to be in Silicon Valley, the Ukraine, and Israel. What we've actually found, interestingly, without going into who uses our product in Israel and who doesn't, the more technically accomplished a future client is, the quicker they buy our product. It's kind of very counterintuitive. The clients, partners now who'd be more able to build our product appreciate how difficult it is to build it.
So
and buy it.
You sell your product to company or government agency A, is it a thing where they have to keep getting it updated, or you just sell it and they use it however they want, or you have to help them use it and then you update it every so often?
It's a great question. So there's a substrate of our product. So let's just say clandestine agency 204, they'll get, say they buy Foundry and then they buy PG. They'll get a core substrate of the product. If they're sophisticated technically, and many of them are, we'll teach them how to build on top of the product. So a very sophisticated client using our product will build their own software on top of our product because they understand there's certain things that would take decades to build. They don't want to build them. And then they'll build their own things on top of it. We, on our end, deliver new features. So let's just say, for example, in the Ukraine war, we've learned a lot about what you would need to fight in Europe, which, by the way, no one understood until now. It's a complete fighting in the desert, fighting in Europe, fighting against Russia, fighting against, smaller, less effective, more terrorist organizations. Completely different thing. We'll then build features that we will, obviously, that's one of the reasons we only ship these to allies, that will then get shipped across, say, the NATO structure. But for example, sophisticated partners and clients like the Ukrainians and maybe...
This was so much more important than it sounded like. Again, this is where it becomes so important that they took this job for free, they killed their margin, they killed their short term, and now they got data that nobody else has on how to win wars in Europe, and they're shipping these to NATO. So can you tell me why NATO wouldn't buy their service? They're proven and they have data no one else has, and what would make NATO quit using them and keep them from becoming a super sticky product? So this is very, very bullish on the long term.
As you've mentioned, we'll also build things on their own, and those things will be built on top or next to our product, and they own those things completely. And that's why it ends up being kind of good for both sides.
A lot of CEOs of technology companies obsess over their share price, and the last year or so, share prices in tech companies have come down. Are you obsessed with your share price, or you don't care that much?
I guess I'm supposed to say
You do care.
I do. Well, I care because...
You're one of the biggest shareholders, aren't you?
Yeah, well, look, the answer that, I care because the people who work at Palantir care. I do actually care about our shareholders. I actually especially care about the retail shareholders, the small shareholders. But I've been at this 10 years. I know that, when we DPO'd with 700, I think, and 40 million in revenue, and during that, roughly in that phase next year, we ended up with $100 billion valuation. It's as I recently said, I didn't think, luckily I come from a family where I'm at the small table because I'm not an academic. I never thought I was at that good at 45. I don't think I'm that bad at 6. I know how well the company's doing. It's funny, as someone who's been somewhat skeptical of the free market in many ways as a progressive and believes that we need to ameliorate the free market by having world-class education and helping people who've been underprivileged. Medium long term, I have enormous faith in our clients, in this case our shareholders, to figure out if it's working or not. I know we built the product. I built our company as a product that will do very well under these conditions. So I'm obsessed about our company. Do I obsess about the share price every day? No, of course not.
So many CEOs these days are being bombarded with needs to worry about DEI, ESG, and so forth. Is this something that you focus on that much, or you're not?
Well, our clients use our product. I mean, the funny thing is, one of the things people are going to find out, we do very well. One of the reasons that we power European clandestine efforts, intel, anti-terror efforts, with, in my view, success is proven by the fact that there have been very few terror attacks, luckily, and therefore the political ramifications are we still are run by kind of bourgeoisie parties and political parties in the middle, is that the Europeans have regulated counter intel to the point where it's nearly impossible to do it, and there's only one product that works, and works very effectively. That's ours. ESG is a bonanza for us because regulators are requiring tracking of data down to the absolute miniature, most minuscule molecule. And that is very similar. It's isomorphic to counter intel because, for example, in counter intel, before you shut down an airport or authorize someone being taken out, you've got to look at every single data set. So that's going to be very good for us, precisely because, honestly, regulators don't understand how difficult the technical challenge is, and you've got a lot of purveyors of PowerPoints, fake software companies, and moderately useful software. They're just going to massively fail against these use cases, and you're going to buy Palantir.
Oh, do you know how to write code? Are you a code writer?
When I co-founded Palantir, I took the introductory class to writing code at Stanford. Somewhat, we have a Stanford rep here. Don't tell them it was, somewhat on the side. But yes, I mean up to a point. But again, I wouldn't overestimate my role at Palantir. I wouldn't underestimate it. Bringing societally relevant things like PG ended up dominating counter intel. Foundry ended up being the crucial product during the pandemic. The Meta Constellation is the crucial war product in the world. These are societally relevant products built years before you needed them. There are software engineers who will do that, but I feel, in all modesty, the fact that I work well with software engineers but have never aspired to write code like they do is a pretty important symbiotic relationship that it's worked.
A software company in Israel developed a product which could tap into anybody's cell phone. And it was said by the Israeli government, you can only sell this to certain entities. And if you sold it to somebody else, that be against the law. Do you have that problem where you can sell things? Whoops. I think your mic is still working. Can you hear him? Speak loudly. Can you sell your product to anybody you want to sell to?
Well, again, there are limitations on certain of our products, but we've never even gotten there. We self-regulate to the point. I mean, this was a huge issue with early investors. They were very unhappy when I started telling them, look, it's not a joke. We're not going to sell to China. We're not going to sell to Russia. We're not going to sell to affiliate countries. We are going to, and they're like, well, what about ABC country? And like, yeah, look, without going to every detail, people wondered, like, there were people inside Palantir who didn't think we should work with certain countries, and we decided to, but then there's a long list of countries we have not worked with.
And in your case, the average person you hire, is he or she a PhD in some kind of technology product or technology skill? In other words, are they coders? Are they PhDs in what? The typical person?
Look, the typical person we hire has a college, maybe a master's degree in computer science. Now we'll hire, but I would say 70% of our company is technical, meaning they can write code. But then another 10%, it would be technical at any other company. They don't write code at the standard we need, but they could do graduate level math. So if you take the graduate level math people plus the people who can write code, it's like historically been 80-85% of our company.
So you're running the company, you like it, you don't intend to do anything else for the foreseeable future, not going to the U.S. government or anything like that?
Well, I don't know if, like, I partner well with many governments, and especially the U.S. government, maybe partly because no one expects I'm going to ever come be in their role. So I don't think anyone's expecting me to run for office or work. So no, look, you go ups and downs. Currently, I am very motivated. Look, when you play, again, the heroes in the Ukraine are much more important than us at Palantir. But there's this dialectic, like in Hegel, you master slave, like there's this dialectic where you do this and it's hugely motivating to us and to me. And right now I'm very motivated by what we do. Honestly, I like the success and the impact, and I'm not planning to go anywhere. I don't know. I mean, I've been around. I've been doing Palantir longer than most people at Palantir have been alive. But yeah, I'm not planning to really change that until.
And you're not going to change your lifestyle. You're not married, no kids. You're just going to keep doing what you're doing that way, right?
Well, I'm trying to meet people, but I'm not planning to change. But okay. Thank you for the shit.
Okay.
I'm very look. There's always an up and down in life. Currently, I'm pretty happy and I believe in what we're doing. And I mean, a lot of people would like me to, make myself more, normal friendly. And I'm trying every day.
Okay.
I have a coach. I don't know if you saw him, I could be kind of slightly more normal in public, and it's not working, but I'm doing my best.
Do you have a barber or no as well?
No, that I've rejected. I tried that route. There.
All right, we have time for one question, maybe right here. Do you have a mic?
You can have my mic.
Well, somebody's coming with another mic. Okay. All right, a simple question, not a statement, just a question.
I'm David Kim from Korea. I'm the chairman of Daesun, which is one of the largest energy company in Korea. As a CEO, I've been dealing with many software companies and consulting companies, and I have always been very disappointed, especially not only because of the result, but also compared to the price they charge for me. And I Googled and tried to find the mission and vision of the company, and frankly speaking, it's too good to be true. What you said in Google.
Well, let me tell you, since we have limited time, we have a great partners in Korea. You are right to be disappointed by software. Almost all software is either a PowerPoint or something disappointing. We live from people like you.
Okay, so the question I have is, how do you price your service?
And I'll tell you, we're very expensive. You know why we're very expensive? Because someone like you is greatly skeptical and think it'll be not valuable. And when we show you it's very valuable, we expect you to pay us a lot of money.
Okay, right here.
This is the controversial moment, and this is what has created a little bit of noise in the Palantir community, that Karp answered the question the way he did, and he said, we're very expensive, and if you're going to choose us, we expect you to pay a lot of money for us. And I've seen a podcast where they went into extensive debate on this. However, I think that this is Sales School 101. He is doing the excellent best thing that he could do for his company, and that is he takes the number one objection that he knows companies will have, and he just puts it out there, and he says, we are very expensive. So this guy either leaves him, meaning he didn't waste the guy's time or Palantir's time, or the guy comes back, but at that time he knows this is going to be expensive and he's going to be ready to pay for it. And it's true for every company that is watching this. And imagine that you have 2,000 potential customers. You're never going to sell to 2,000 potential customers, and especially Palantir that has a very long sales cycle, right? So what you want to do is you want to sieve out the people that are not cycles for you. And this is the best way to say it, because you say we are very expensive but very effective, and you're going to see that it's worth it. We create the value that you pay for. And what happens is from the 2,000 people, 1,800 disappear. And then you only have 200 very serious prospects to deal with, which makes it very easy to close the deals with the right people. And you're not wasting anybody's time. So I think that this was a genius move by Karp.
We're not cheap. And part of the problem is the people that are selling you their software cheaply are selling you a PowerPoint or a steak dinner or, I'm a fan of Korean art and Korean food. They're like, great kimchi jjigae, and the software sucks.
Irina?
Scott, David has a perfect shooter for you. He has a very nice daughter.
I'm very happy, by the way, to everyone listening to this. I'm not.
Just got offered.
By the
On
way,
a serious note, you complimented Israeli and Ukrainian capabilities. How would you rate Russian and Chinese in that space?
well, Russia and China, this is the thing.
What he's going to say here is very, very important, both from the world's future and also from Palantir's future. So listen carefully.
There's a tendency that's really quite unfortunate because Russia's massively underperformed, to underestimate Russia and maybe slightly overestimate China. But they're starting from the shock factor. Like, they essentially have invested $65 billion in hardware every year, and the Russians are among the best technical experts in the world, most creative technical experts, best mathematicians, and broadly speaking, in the world. And now it's like, they're like, holy, we're investing in the wrong thing. Now Russia, and to some extent China, are going to start investing in the right thing. And that's why we in the West need to really be focused on, yes, we had this advantage because we've been focusing on these things more than anyone else, and we have a tech community that's unlike other countries. But that advantage won't stay around if we don't invest in these kind of capabilities, not just pure hardware capabilities.
So if somebody wants to learn more about Palantir, you have a little building here or something?
This part is not important anymore. So I hope you like this video. This was one of the best Karp interviews that I have seen, with a little bit of controversy in the end. Great new data about the company. I have a feeling that the Q4 earnings is going to be fantastic for long-term investors. I don't know about short-term investors. I'm anyways not into that stuff. But we should be very happy, and the earnings is coming out soon. Thank you for watching. Let me know if this video was helpful. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in the next video.